My name is Kaecee Fitzgerald. I'm a product designer. I am also a sessional staff member at Griffith University, and I'm doing a PhD full-time. I started off as a graphic designer. I started off studying graphic design. I started to realise that just in terms of my interests, I wanted to experiment a little bit more with physical forms, and I wanted to take a look a little bit beyond what graphic design could offer me personally. So I ended up doing double degree masters from then on. So from then I ended up getting an internship at the Prince Charles Hospital to design medical practice rigs. But I left pretty quickly when I got offered an internship at Materialise in Malaysia, which is a 3D printing medical company over in Malaysia. And there I think my role was technically classed as a product specialist, which means they could kind of place me into pretty much any role that they wanted. Well, it was pretty broad, and eventually came back to Australia to do my PhD. I definitely think the Gold Coast is developing, especially in terms of health and in a lot of ways design. I know that there's a big push right now to kind of place a lot more emphasis on developing the Gold Coast as a bit of a hub. There are a lot of women pushing through. There are a lot more female industrial design and product design educators coming through. It's a positive change, and it's really encouraging to see. Because of the push, I feel like there's a lot more opportunities for people coming out. I think it's an area where people can actually gather together and collaborate a little bit more, especially when they're clustered. Because again, when all of these areas are empty and when they're eventually filled up, you get a nice little mix of a lot of different businesses, a lot of different opportunities for people to interact that potentially otherwise wouldn't have, so it's good. A lot of people think when they hear that we're designing and printing ligaments and replacement for ligaments and organs and skin, that all of a sudden we can print a fully fledged human organ and implant it within the next 5 years. It's just not the case. There's a fear at the moment that these technologies are going to completely replace people's jobs. It's just not the way that it's going to be. Those jobs are going to adapt. The technology isn't a replacement, it's a tool, which I think that a lot of people don't understand. It's going to be quite exciting to see where people kind of fit into the new system, just in terms of how we produce, the more sustainable materials that we're going to be using, making sure that we're not as harmful anymore to the environment and to the general surroundings. I'm quite excited to see where it heads, just in terms of seeing where people slot in and what can be done in terms of developing new systems for manufacture.